very much like yours. Two women made up a podcast on how movies link up to each other, and they called it 6 Degrees of Feature Film.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 6 Degrees of Feature Film podcast. I am Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, and Stacey Howard is not here today, but I have a special co-host, and that is...
Dan Murrell
from
Screen Junkies, and I'm very happy to be here.
I know, it's finally worked out.
Yes, we've been going back and forth forever.
Since November.
I know. I'm happy I could finally find a time where you were literally in the office, and I could be like, yes, I can do this right now.
I know. The last email I sent to Dan, I was like, I feel really ridiculous every single time I send you an email, and I feel like I can see your eyes rolling.
No, not at all. I feel bad. I'm glad I could finally make it happen because you've helped us out so much on movie fights and stuff. I'm glad I could be here to do this because this is, like I was just saying, my favorite thing in the world to do is talk about movies. So.
And it's interesting to hear you talk about movies not in a debate setting.
It is, right? It's nice to have a civilized discussion sometimes.
That's why you need your own show on Screen Junkies Plus that is just about movies.
Stay tuned.
Okay, good. All right, I'm glad. So today we're going to go ahead and go kind of TV, but kind of movie at the same time, and we're going to talk about Grease Live as our feature film, if you will.
Absolutely.
So if you've never listened to the show, what happens is we start with a feature film, and we link to that film to two other films that kind of have something in common with it. And then from there, we take those two films and we link off of those two films to two other films that have something in common with those.
Sounds great.
A total of 7 films, but 6 actual degrees.
Love it.
So there it is. All right, so Grease Live. I was really skeptical going into it because of the fact that there have been other live productions that have been done on television, such as Peter Pan.
Sound of Music.
And those didn't go over great for me.
No, they were very stagey. Stagey is fine on the stage, but they were very flat, very studio-y, lots of technical errors.
Exactly, and that's not how you're supposed to consume that medium, in my opinion.
No.
And so when they said, we're doing Grease, I'm like, great, just another one of those don't really care sort of situations going on.
I watched it because I expected it to be, because it wasn't NBC. NBC did the other ones. Fox was doing this one. So I'm like, so a network that's never done a live event of this type is doing it for the first time. And they're doing Grease, which has got a lot of moving parts, that show.
Right.
I have to be honest. I watched it because I thought it was going to be a complete train wreck.
Oh. Okay, so you went into it like, this is going to suck. See, I didn't even start watching it until I had read some of the stuff on Twitter that was like, this is really good. And I basically turned it on because of the fact my kids were asleep, so I could. And I was like, wow, I was taken aback by how well it was done, how well it was produced.
I came in the next day and people said, like, what do you think about Grease? And I'm not a big fan of the musical Grease.
Neither am I.
It's got some structural problems.
And the message.
The message isn't great. Not a lot happens in it.
Right.
But when the next morning they came in and like, did you watch Grease Live? I'm like, yes. They're like, what'd you think? And I believe this to be true. I thought it was the most impressive piece of live television I've ever seen.
I 100% agree with that. I think this is the best thing that I've seen.
Yeah, not musical. I mean,
like
live
sports,
telecast.
Everything.
Sports, Oscars, any awards ceremony. It was the most impressive piece of live broadcasting that I've ever seen in my life.
I'm on board with that, and I'm totally looking forward to the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Now, yes. I mean, Fox literally, NBC kind of was coasting a little bit. They're like, we're going to do it live. But that was really their only thought was, we're going to do a live musical.
Right.
That should be enough. And there was kind of the bare bones versions. And Fox was like, no, boom. This is how you do it. It was a total mic drop. And it was brilliantly done.
I wonder what happens, NBC's watching this, obviously. Are they just like, holy, that's how you do it? I mean, this is the lesson of how you do something like this.
I would have to imagine that there's an NBC executive who was watching at home and just being like, what do we do?
Right. Now we got to go back and restructure.
Because they used an entire backlot. They were inside. They were outside. They were on like 3 different stages. The one that I knew, when I knew that this was going to be different, was when they were doing the song. I think it was Freddie Be Mine, which is usually
Freddie My Love.
Freddie My Love, which is not in the movie.
Right.
And when they went from In the Bedroom
yes!
to then she complete wardrobe change instantly. Complete wardrobe change into this evening dress, different set, and then back to the original set with the wardrobe change again off camera. Couldn't have taken more than 5 seconds. Seamless.
Yes.
I was like,
there was that, and then there was like magic that happened during Grease Lightning.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know how they changed those costumes. That is magic.
Yeah.
Beyond, I was like, you blink and they're in a new outfit. I just could not. My mind was so blown.
You didn't see a camera?
No.
In any of the shots. The fact that they had the audience on stage, but that it made sense. Just the staging, the angles. It looked like it was pre-taped. It looked cinematic, right. And I was blown away by that. I mean, that would be worth watching again for me.
Yes.
Again, not a big fan of Grease, but I would watch that again just to look at it on a technical level and just be like, how did they do that?
Right. And then the only thing that really took it down for me was Mario Lopez. Like, I just wasn't into him as being Vince Fontaine, and he didn't stick for me. But everyone else I thought was fantastic.
The Jonas didn't seem to, was it Nick?
Yeah.
He didn't seem too into it either. He was a little...
My favorite character, what character would you be if you were in Grease live, let's say?
If I had to play a character?
Yes.
Oh, someone who could just stand in the background.
Okay.
I'd be one of the people in the bleachers. So
you never did musical theater growing up or anything like that?
I was on the tech crew.
Okay.
I was a techie.
Okay.
I was actually on the tech crew for Grease in 11th grade.
Oh, nice.
I did lighting, and then I did technical directing, and I was a behind-the-scenes guy. I was never... I can't really sing or dance, and...
Got it.
Yeah, it was never my
I would be Patty Simcox. She's, like, my favorite, and I totally... can see like being perky, like, because I'm very reserved, so I want to do something that's completely like different from who I am. So I think that would be a fun difference of character for me.
That's a fun role, and if I could pick one, I guess if I could sing, I would want to do the Teen Angel. Because the Teen Angel comes, which in this Grease Live was Boys to Men.
That
all
was
of them.
awesome.
But
I
Frankie
did love
Avalon in the movie, I would do that because you get to come in, you got a great showstopper, you do one song,
and then you're out.
And you're done. 5 minutes on stage, and you're out.
I know that Hal Rudnick played Vince Fontaine.
Really?
He did.
Oh wow! I could definitely.
I don't
see
know how I know this information. He must have shared this with me when I saw The Martian with him. I have no idea how I know this. But I do know that. So there it is.
If they do it again, they should have Hal play Vince Fontaine.
They
He'd
should.
be so much better than Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez was not good.
He wasn't great.
I don't know. I think it would be pretty easy to be better than that.
Yeah.
But Hal, you'd be great. Okay, so let's get into our links. So from Grease Live, we're going to link to musicals. And Dan, what musical would you like to discuss?
I'd like to talk about Les Miserables.
Okay.
Because that is my favorite stage musical. I've seen it on stage, I think, 3 times.
Okay.
Once in London, twice in New York.
Wow.
And it is one of my least favorite filmed musical adaptations.
Oh, interesting.
The one caveat I will have is Hugh Jackman was great.
Yes.
Hugh Jackman was fantastic as Jean Valjean.
He was.
He can sing. He's got the chops. But I didn't like the way it was shot. It was shot very claustrophobically. I don't like Tom Hooper, I believe is his name.
Yes.
Tom Hooper, who did King's Speech. I don't like his style, which is like, I'm going to put a camera right in your face, or I'm going to put you in like the lower third of the frame, and then I'm going to show 2/3 of like a wall onto the side of you. It's just a strange way to shoot it. And the stage musical is told so simply. And I just felt like it didn't need that kind of weird style that he brought to it. But my biggest bone of contention with the film, with that version of Les Miserables, is Russell Crowe. Because that was the ultimate version of we need to cast a star.
Terrible.
And Javert is on stage if performed right, is a beautifully sung part. And he has such emotional moments in the show.
I have a confession.
Crowe, God bless him, was not up to the task.
I've never seen the stage version, so I've only seen the movie version.
Oh, dear.
But I know all the songs because I was in show choir. So, it's definitely one that I've wanted to see, and I look for it when it's in town, and I have not seen it in town. So, it's on my list of things that I need to see. That and Billy Elliot are like the 2 ones that I'm like, I have to see those. It's very important to me to see them in live production.
I haven't seen Billy Elliot. I think that'd be one that I want to see. But yeah, Les Miserables was pretty big disappointment for me because I love that show so much, and the movie just wasn't.
Yeah.
Wasn't
What's your favorite song?
Well, I like because it's so catchy, and there's an old Seinfeld episode centered around it. Master of the House. It's such a catchy tune and got so
Can
much
you sing it for
charm.
me?
And no, I can't sing.
Really?
I can't sing.
Because I can't even think about how it goes.
It's the Master of the House.
Could you sing it as Mark Wahlberg?
No.
Okay, wait. All right.
Oh, that's a combination of skill sets. I don't know if I have it. But no, it's like the Innkeeper song. Okay. It's the one that Sacha Baron Cohen does with Helena Bonham Carter.
Yes.
Again, the performance underwhelmed me a little bit, and it's just such a great big body number and the musical, and it seemed a little toned down. All of it seemed a little toned down for the movie. Was there anything about it aside from Hugh Jackman that you were like, yes, that they got right? Well, I did like the fact that there are battles and stuff, and there's a big blockade scene in the musical that the limitations of the stage you can only do so much with. I did like that. The fact that where you can use the scope of cinema, I enjoyed the fact that you could get a little bigger. And I actually thought that Eddie Redmayne's version of Empty Chairs and Empty Tables was fantastic. He's amazing. He is great in that movie. That one was actually shot well because it was shot him alone in a room. Right. And he was allowed to explore that room, and you see the emptiness of that room. And it was one thing where it's just like, would you just let the camera sit sometimes and just let the actor do what the actor does? It's very powerful. So that's one that I've gone back and watched. That particular performance, I really enjoy. Nice. Now, the other musical that we're going to be talking about, unless there's any last words on Les Mis for you. No, I mean, like I said, a bit of a disappointment, but in a way, like I said, Jackman's great, and I wish I could love it, but I just can't. Maybe I'm too attached to the stage. Can you love the producers? Yes, no. No? The stage you can love. Stage I can love. Okay. Again, the producers had the same problem, which is that the stage version for Kenny Mars's role in the original film, Franz Liebkind, and then Ulla, both had brilliant stage actors playing those parts. Really hilarious people. And for the movie, they cast Uma Thurman and Will Ferrell. Right. Again, Will Ferrell. Yeah. I don't even remember. I remember Zero Mostel and the original producers, which was not a musical, but they were making the musical. And then I remember going to the Pantages to see Jason Alexander perform with Martin Short. Yes. And I don't even remember the actual musical coming out. Like, why do I not remember this? Well, I got lucky because when I was in high school, like I said, I did drama tech, and we had a teacher who would take kids to New York every year, drama kids and tech kids, to go see shows. That's awesome. And she was very connected to what was happening. And so when the buzz about the original stage version, the producers started circulating, she got tickets for the whole group early. And by the time we got there, it was as big as Hamilton is now. It was the show of the year. We got to see the original stage production with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick, who did the movie. Wow. And it is a hilarious, great, amazing stage musical with again, you had Lane and Broderick, but then you had some of the very popular stage actors also filling those parts, and it was great. Right. Very theatrical. The movie has Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick come in and do the stage version, except it's a movie. So it's about 400% too big. It's almost like the same problem that we're having with the television versions. It looks very much similar to that. It's shot very similar to the stage show. The performances, they're doing it as if they're on stage. Right. Which is great in the theater, but on film, again, it's just like too much. You're just blowing you against the back wall of the theater. And then, they stunt cast these roles with Uma Thurman and Will Ferrell, who just don't have the... Musical theater is tough. It is. It's not an easy thing. And when you take those roles that are so great with people, with actors, musical actors that can get it, and it's just not the same. We had been talking about this before on this show about My Fair Lady and how they cast Audrey Hepburn when they really should have cast Julie Andrews. And it suffered because of that. I mean, it's a great film, but she wasn't recognized for an Oscar for that. So... And while Julie Andrews got the Oscar for Mary Poppins. So it's like why they have these hesitations or why they want to do certain things where they cast this big name actress or actor and basically water down their product. I get it. It's the economics of it, which is that, hey, more people are going to come see our movie if it has a big star in it. Right. But to me, it's like, but even more people are going to come see your movie if it's really good. So why would, it's like that whole thing of like, is it worth having Will Ferrell in our movie if it's going to suffer in quality? And I think, to be honest, I don't know if the producers was the best idea to make as a movie because the musical is so broad. It is so broad, which again, great for a theater. Maybe not the best idea to adapt into a movie, but they did not help themselves by stunt casting those supporting roles.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and go on to our next part where we link off our musicals into other links. And I'm going to go ahead and start because I'm taking Les Mis, and I'm going to do Amanda Seyfried. Do you say it Seyfried? Seyfried.
I think I say it Seyfried? I'm not sure.
I don't know. But I'm going to do films that she's in.
Sure.
One film that I want to talk about, which I actually going into, I was like so against, and I think it was just because of the title and the fact that Megan Fox was the lead, and that's Jennifer's Body. Like, I had no desire to actually see it, and then I saw it, and I was like, I kind of like this. Like, there's something about it that I like, and I don't know why.
I haven't seen Jennifer's Body. The Diablo Cody wrote that, correct?
Yes,
coming
she
off
did.
Juno. So that was like her big post-Juno movie. But I remember hearing, number one, Diablo Cody horror movie. And number two this was the movie that Megan Fox is good in.
She is good.
And I hear that she is good in that movie.
It's very true. And there's just some little things. There's that guy from the OC or something. I forget his name, but he is in this band, and the band is like named Low Shoulder, and I kind of liked that. I don't know. There was so many moments that I thought there's something going right here, and I completely thought it would be just garbage. And I don't even know how I even saw it. I know I saw it at home, but I don't know, like, if my husband was like, let's watch this film. Like, hey, it's got Megan Fox in it. I could be into this, but...
Yeah, it's always been one of those that's been on my to-see list, but I've never actually seen.
I would actually recommend it. I can't believe I'm saying that, like, just in general, but it's one to see.
I'm a big fan of Amanda Seyfried. I feel bad. People mispronounce my name all the time, so I feel bad for not knowing what it is. But since Big Love... she was really good in Big Love, and I kind of, and she's easy on the eyes too. I can't lie. She is. I like actresses that have a look that is. She has a very unique look and a very unique way of carrying herself.
Right.
She doesn't. I think she's beautiful, but she doesn't conform to that classic Hollywood. She's kind of the anti-Megan Fox. She doesn't conform to that classic Hollywood. This is what a leading lady looks like. She has a very unique way that she carries herself. She chooses very unique parts. I think she's a very interesting young actress, and I wish that she would be in more things because I think that she can sing. She's very multi-talented, and I think she just has a gravity to her in all the movies that I see that I wish that I could see more.
Right. The other film I brought was Mean Girls, and I don't think we've discussed it on this podcast, but if we have, I apologize for repeating this. But Mean Girls is one of my favorite movies, and I will say that without being embarrassed. But I enjoy her character of Karen, just the fact that she is so stupid. And I feel like I know plenty of Karens in my life, and I feel like she did really well in her portrayal of that.
I'm going to make a lot of, not enemies here, but I've never seen Mean Girls.
Really? My gosh.
It's one of those, because it came out in what, 2000?
It's like 2000s, 2 or 4, one of the two.
Anyway, somewhere around there. And I just missed it.
Yeah, it's okay. You miss films. I miss films. There's like a hole from about 2011 to 2014-ish where I didn't see like anything. And so now I'm finally catching up on those films. Or things like I missed, like the whole Rocky series, and I just rewatched, I watched it all.
Nice.
In like a few days.
Those are great movies.
And so they are great. I'm glad that I did that. And now I'm trying to watch all Sylvester Stallone's films by the end of the year. So we'll see.
There's a few you can skip.
I know. I don't know how many.
You need to watch Oscar?
I've already watched Oscar. I mean, I'm kind of cool with Oscar.
What about Stop or My Mom Will Shoot?
I have not seen that yet.
Oh, well, I mean, again, if
there's
it's between that and another movie, you could maybe...
I saw Daylight. I didn't like that.
It's not in the bottom half of Die Hard knockoffs, I don't think, but it's not fantastic.
Exactly. Anyways, Mean Girls. I identify with the whole thing, just being, well, maybe because it is very much like high school, but it's almost like high school on steroids.
Yeah.
Because all of these characters are completely insane. And I mean, aside from Katie Heron, the main character, Lindsay Lohan's character, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I think if Mean Girls came out today, because it's a cult hit for sure.
Right.
And I think it actually did really well at the box office. But I also remember at the time, this is pre-30 Rock, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so it was like, oh, Tina Fey wrote this movie. Like, Tina Fey from Saturday Night Live? I didn't know she wrote stuff. And now, of course, I think if it came out, it would have even that much more buzz to it because it's like, oh, wow, Tina Fey wrote this.
Right. The one complaint I have about Mean Girls is the way that they portray teachers and administrative officials in schools, because I was a teacher. So I'm like, that is really not what a teacher does. But at the same time, again, it's high school on steroids. So maybe that's what they think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, and a lot of those movies, the high school movies particularly, when you have somebody that's an adult writing one, it's them kind of projecting backwards and looking back through their own eyes at how they saw, which I think is what makes them so relatable. The Breakfast Club is very much written, and Ferris Bueller, and really all of John Hughes' movies are all written from, even though Hughes was a grown man, they're all written from the teenage perspective, where the authority figure is always the heavy and always on the wrong side. When really, if you're looking at it, Ferris Bueller was cut in school.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing the right thing, but you're on his side because the
Rooney
movie's
was a little bit crazy.
Rooney, he was
just a little bit.
He was a little aggressive. The principal in Breakfast Club, I felt a little bit more because it's just like the dude has to be there on Saturday too, and these snot-nosed kids keep, I get him a little bit more. But again, you're on the side of the kids because the movie's on the side of the kids.
True. Yeah, you got something there. Yeah. So let's link off of producers. You brought two things.
Well, producers, obviously based off the Mel Brooks original. And for me, still, one of the most mind-blowing achievements in the history of movies is that in 1974, he released in the same year Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein.
I've only seen one of those films.
They are two of the best American comedies ever made, and he made them the same year. That is like the only thing that I can think of that compares to that is when Spielberg made Schindler's List and Jurassic Park the same year in 1993. It is mind-blowing to me that those two movies came out within months of each other, because those are two once-in-a-lifetime movies, and they happen just like literally right on top of each other.
I heard something that Aerosmith's song "Walk This Way" is because of Young Frankenstein.
Walk This Way, yeah. There's Igor, not Igor. Igor.
No, I will never think of it the same.
Which one have you seen? Young Frankenstein?
I've seen Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, when it says "Walk This Way" and Gene Wilder leans down and does the. Oh my God.
Madeline Kahn, I continue to want to be Bride of Frankenstein at some point, for Halloween or something, or just in general. Like, I could just get the costume and walk around, right? That's just how you do things.
Yes. When
you're strange like myself.
I mean, Madeline Kahn, first of all, so I'm guessing you haven't seen Blazing Saddles.
I have not.
Well, first of all, go home and watch Blazing Saddles, because it's a little bit of the two. Blazing Saddles is a little bit more of its era. Mm-hmm. It's a very cutting-edge comedy. And, I mean, that is one where, I mean, it tackles Richard Pryor was a writer on that movie. It tackles race, I mean, just head on, because it's set in the Old West, but it is obviously a commentary on race as it pertains to America in the 1970s and in large part America today still. And so, I mean, they don't pull any punches, but it's not just that. It's like, it's a great commentary on race, but then you have like the dumb jokes, like a guy punching a horse and the horse falling down.
I know I have this film. My in-laws own it, so I have access.
Oh.
So that's good.
I highly recommend it, because it's just, again, Mel Brooks is somehow able to do the best combination of some of the smartest humor you've ever seen and some of the dumbest jokes in the world, and he makes them both work. The Frau Blücher stuff in Young Frankenstein, where every time you say your name and the horse is outside, the first few times you do it is funny, and then he keeps doing it, it's not funny, and then it's funny again.
Right, because it wears off and comes back.
It wears off, and then he doesn't do it for 30 minutes, and then you forget it. Like, one of my favorite things is, like, toward the end of the movie, they haven't done the joke in, like, 45 minutes, and then she comes in, and somebody goes, Frau Blücher, and then outside, you hear the... I could watch both of those movies. I've probably seen them both 10, 15 times each.
Yeah, which one of the two is your favorite then?
Oh, that's like picking your children.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
well, then I won't make you do it.
Well, I mean, if I'm forced to choose, beginning to end, I would guess Young Frankenstein, because Blazing Saddles has a really kind of gonzo ending that's really fun and really interesting, but it kind of derails what came before it a little bit.
Sure.
And it's not that I don't like it, but Young Frankenstein is a little more of a complete beginning to end movie.
Right.
But they're both, again, top 10 comedies of all time.
When you say gonzo ending, the first image that pops into my mind is a really giant animal at the end of the Muppet movie popping out of the
Not quite like that, but it is definitely just like you're going down a road, and then it just takes a hard left. And it's a funny left, but again, still, it kind of is a departure from what you've been doing. So Young Frankenstein stays a little bit more on the road, but I just love both of those so much, and I love Mel Brooks so much. I mean, you throw in the producers, you throw in even the quote-unquote lesser Mel Brooks, like High Anxiety. People forget about Robin Hood Men in Tights, which I think is really funny. I mean, he is one of the funniest people ever.
Spaceballs,
to do
obviously.
Anything. Spaceballs. I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan. I wish he made more stuff.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, I mean,
he's just like, I'm done. I've done that.
He's older, and I mean, I kind of respect that, which is that comedy. He's still a very funny person, but to make movies, comedy is very. It's hard to be timeless with comedy. You kind of have to have your finger on the pulse, and I kind of respect the fact that he does some comedic acting still, and he does writing and stuff. But I respect the fact that he's kind of said, like, I made my classics, and if I see something that I want to do, I'll do it. But he's not just making movies just to make movies at this point.
I appreciate people that go out on top as well. Like, I'm just going to end it here, and that's how it is.
There you go.
The one thing as you were talking about comedy, and I was thinking about Deadpool, and, like, is that going to hold up because of all the jokes that are so popular culture, like, referential?
Well, I think some of them already don't hold up.
Sure.
There's a lot of 90s references that I think were lost on.
It took me a while to actually start liking Deadpool. It was once they started the jokes about IKEA, I was like, all right, I'm into this film.
Yeah.
You got me. Okay, I can laugh now.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed Deadpool, but yeah, over the years, some of that is going to lose its relevance. This references to Ryan Reynolds' past movies and all that stuff. In 10 years, even people aren't going to really know what they're discussing.
Right.
But
my kids will be like, "Why is this funny?"
Why exactly?
And I'll be like, "Oh, well, let me teach you something."
And it's so new for us.
Right.
Depending on 10 years down the line, how many more Deadpools will there have been? How many more of that type of movie will there have been? I always feel bad for movies that, like, people. It's like people that watch Citizen Kane and they go like, "Oh, well, that movie's boring." It's like, well, yeah. I mean, it's not a thrill a minute, but it's lost its context in that people had never seen technically anything on that scale or that innovative before, which is why it's regarded as such a landmark movie. And now people look at it and they're unimpressed because they see something that they've seen in 500 other movies, and outside of its context, it's harder to defend because you're like, well, yeah, but you have to. It's a tricky balancing act.
Right. Well, we're here at the end of our podcast, and let's go over our films. We talked about our feature film was Grease Live.
Grease Live.
From there, we went to musicals and did Les Miserables, as well as the producers from Les Miserables. I did Amanda Seyfried films with Jennifer's Body and Mean Girls. And from the producers, you did Mel Brooks films with Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. And normally we do a few different bits at the end, one of which is linking it back to Kevin Bacon, but I cannot even think about who in Grease Live would get anywhere to Kevin Bacon. We could brainstorm this for a second.
Let's think here.
All right, so here it is.
Okay.
Kevin Bacon was in Crazy Stupid Love with Katerina. couple who was in Burlesque with Julianne Hough.
Wow, look at that.
So there it is.
2 degrees.
I know. Technically, you are also 2 degrees. 3 degrees, because
I am.
I'll tell you how.
Okay.
I went to USC with Tom Hanks's niece, and we were in a lot of classes together. And he was in Apollo 13 with Kevin Bacon.
That's true.
So there you go.
Look at that.
So it goes from there to her to me to you.
There you go. I had no idea I was so close to Kevin Bacon.
How did you know?
That's amazing.
Where can we find you, Dan?
You can find me on Screen Junkies Plus. We have a bunch of shows, movie fights, obviously, which you've been a guest on, and you've helped us out with questions on, so thank you.
You're welcome.
We also have Monday Night Raw, Does It Hold Up? A lot of great shows. You can find that on ScreenJunkies.com. You can also find us on YouTube at Screen Junkies, Honest Trailers, Screen Junkies Show. Movie Fights also lives there, and you can find me on Twitter at MurrellDan.
How do you spell that?
MurrellDan. 2 R's, 2 L's. That's what
Very
I
good.
Murrell Dan.
You can find me every goddamn day on Twitter at Miss Movies. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye.
6 Degrees of Feature Film is produced by Stacey Howard and me. Special thank you to Ken Knapsaug for our intro and Matt Brown for our artwork.